Hi folks, welcome back to the Gallowgateshots FPL show with your host Matt, which is me. Currently 41st in the Gallowgateshots mini league. Firstly I want to start off by just saying a bit of an apology. Been a couple of weeks since we've had one of these. Purely that's down to my bad time management and the fact that I was away on holiday. Sorry for going away on holiday and camping with my family. But if you're going to go away, you're best to do it during the international break when there's barely any football on. First thing then, I want to start off by giving some shout outs to the people who captained some Newcastle players this week. It was a good week to captain some Newcastle players with us playing Southampton, who are statistically one of the worst leagues in the league. One of the worst leagues in the league, one of the worst defences in the league. So we managed to score 2 against them, and we managed to concede 2 as well. So firstly, these guys captained Wilson for an 18-pointer. So well done, you guys. This is Connor Elgie, Jack Matthews, Jordan Nill, Matthew Pogue, Ryan Layton, Alan Huffer, Nick Wardle, Ivan Tosic, Paul Veal, Simon Athy, Graham Bell, Joe Akinklose, Nick Fawcett, or Mike Fawcett, Nick Fawcett, Chris Thornton, Krista Hafson Thorseng, Tom at NUFC Tom, James Hall. Well done, you guys. Round of applause. Secondly, this person captained ASM, so well done, Lee Atkinson, for ASM's 12 points. Okay, fantastic stuff. And for some reason, some people decided to captain Joe Willock for 4 points. We've got Mark Ridley and Scott Gillen. So sorry, guys, it wasn't a good week for that, I'm afraid. Then we've also got some crazy guy who captained, played his triple captaincy chip on Jamie Vardy, of all people, who managed to get a goal and an assist against Norwich. So if you're going to play your triple captain chip, it's always a bit of a risk when it's not in a double game week. But obviously Norwich, we know, aren't the strongest defence, and Vardy has got a fantastic goal scoring record. So well done, Martin Jones. You got a fantastic 36 points. So that's unbelievable in a single game week. So fantastic stuff. We also have a brand new leader in the Gallowgateshots League, and that is Anthony Nee. I love that name as well. He's currently got 274 points. And that means he's 16 points clear at the top of the league, which is absolutely madness considering we've only had 3 game weeks. So he's the guy to catch, everyone. Let's see if we can do it. So what I want to do next is, because a few people are on a wild card, including myself, I've got a little list of people, of players that I think might be handy on a wild card. Certain teams with really good fixtures coming up, who it might be good to target now and bring in. First team that I'm going to throw your way is Wolves. Wolves have obviously lost their first 3 games, but those 3 games were against Man United, Leicester and Spurs. And underlying stats show that they're actually doing a lot better, and they're mid-table in terms of their XG. They've only conceded 3 goals, which is madness when you consider the teams that they've played. And they've got players like Jimenez, who have always got an eye for goal. Bearing in mind he's obviously coming back from a massive injury. I don't think he's as sharp as what he would normally have been. But he's definitely a one to watch, because game weeks 4 to 15, they only play Everton as what you would call a big team. They don't play anybody else remotely challenging or bigger than them. So it's definitely a hold on Jimenez, but we'll bring him in because I think he's due some goals. He's got 11 shots on target so far, and if you compare that to Wilson, I think Wilson's had 7. So he's right up there. I think he's the second highest in the league for shots in the box or shots on target. It's one of those two. So definitely want to keep an eye on. Traore is another one. He's got 1.3 XG, which is the same as Bruno and Benrahma. When you consider how big they've been in terms of their returns, like Bruno, hat-trick game week 1, Benrahma's just returned consistently apart from last game week. These guys have been big assets. So Traore, if he could finish, looks like he's kind of going to score at some point, so it might be wise to bring him in. Maybe not double up on Jimenez and Traore. Spoiler alert, I think I'm bringing in Traore this week. He's only 6 million, and those fixtures are too good to ignore. And lastly, we've got Semedo, who flatters to deceive. He's quite lively, does bomb forward like a wide fullback should do. Again, like I mentioned before, Wolves only conceded 3 against what you would argue would be some of the best teams in the league. And Semedo does look like he pushes forward. So against the teams with the fixtures that he's got, there's no argument why he can't get clean sheets and potentially attacking returns going forward. Next player is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's currently flagged. It looks like he has got a slight knock, but there's every chance that he's had 2 weeks off and he's now fully rested, ready to play. Everton's fixtures, again, they look really, really strong. From game week 4 to 11, they only play Man United. Everyone else around them it's plain sailing. So there's every chance that Dominic Calvert-Lewin can keep his scoring record going. He's got a goal every game. He's on penalties, which is obviously massive for FPL. And he's got the second highest XG out of every player in the game after 3 game weeks. So he's a very much sought after player. Definitely going to be in my team. And he's going to stay there until at least game week 11. It would be silly to take him out. He's especially in a team that we know, obviously, as Newcastle fans, when Rafa was our manager, he's doing a similar sort of thing as what he did with Rondon. Rondon had a formidable season when there was just crosses and passes constantly getting pummeled into the box for Rondon to kind of sniff out and get his head onto. So I see a lot of that in Calvert-Lewin, and I sadly think Calvert-Lewin is a far better player than what Rondon was. So it's definitely one to keep an eye on. He's going to be in my team. And my last pick for this coming game week onwards is Jota. Now, this is purely based on the fact that Liverpool look like they're going to be out without Roberto Firmino for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And when Firmino's off the pitch and Jota's playing, Jota has the best XG per 90 in the league. And that means, obviously, per 90 minutes when he plays, his XG, the chances that he gets, the quality of chances that he gets, it's massive. And he has a great scoring record. And he has started the season really well. I think he's got 1 or 2 goals already this season. So I'm going to be bringing Jota in on a wild card too. He's still quite cheap as well when you think he's going to be playing up front for Liverpool. He's only about 7.4, 7.5 maybe. So definitely want to check out. Now, my next thing is I'm going to be giving you a little tip. Now, I try to do this every week. Now, my tip this week is to wait for the press conferences. Now, the reason I say this is because this week is a very odd week. Normally, after international breaks, you do normally get a fair few injuries, people getting some knocks when they're playing on international duty. Hello, Ryan Fraser. And I can't believe that guy is always injured. And obviously, it's always wise to wait until you hear what managers have got to say to determine whether you want to start shipping players out. Because all Fantasy Premier League does is puts that yellow flag or red flag on a player because they might have heard that they're injured. That might go away when the press conferences come on Friday and managers have had a chance to look at the player and determine whether they're going to play at the weekend. So don't rush to make your transfers. I know we've had 2 weeks to sit on them and you might have missed some price rises, but it's not worth it. So, for example, there's loads of people this week who've brought in Lukaku because he plays Aston Villa, who look like they're going to be without Emi Martinez. And now Lukaku's turned around and said that he's got a knock and he's been feeling pain for a little while and he's going to get that checked out. And he's now flagged. So if you've made that transfer already, the chances are you might have to make another transfer to get him out or put him on your subs bench. And that's what, 11.5 million of player doing nothing for you. So just have caution. If you're on a wild card, great. But if not, don't make those transfers until at least Friday or Saturday morning. Saturday morning's the best. But obviously we all know what FOMO's like and we want to kind of make transfers and make sure they're done as well. So yeah, tip for you there. Use it or lose it. Now, in terms of, obviously it wouldn't be a Gallowgateshots Newcastle United show without mentioning Newcastle United players. Wilson looks like he's injured. We play Man United. Cristiano Ronaldo is going to be starting for them, most likely. We've lost every game so far. Haven't kept a clean sheet. Do you want to sign anybody from Newcastle? Do you want to bring anybody in? Sorry to be a bit of a doom and gloom sort of person, but I can't, with the best will in the world, tell you to bring in a Newcastle player. The only chance you've got is bringing in Woodman, because it looks like he's going to be kept busy, and hope you get some save points, because every 3 saves Freddie Woodman makes, you'll get 1 point for it. And obviously we've seen, we're going to see in a bit how many shots Cristiano Ronaldo averages in a season. It looks like Woodman's going to be kept busy, so we'll bear with it. So I asked for a few questions for this show, and I was delighted to get 3. 3 questions is good enough for me. So first one is Jess, who's also part of Gallowgateshots. She said, is a wild card worth it for Ronaldo? Now, this is what I was just coming on to, and this is what I just mentioned before and kind of pointing out. Last season, Ronaldo had 168 shots. Okay, 168 shots. I know it's Serie A. I know they're different leagues. But he had 168 shots. Now, bear in mind, only 69 of them were on target. So 100 of them, over 100 of them, went somewhere else. Didn't hit the keeper, okay, or go in. Now, 50 of those shots were blocked. So all that tells me is that, managers realised they're playing Ronaldo and stuck somebody on him and closed him down immediately. Ronaldo loves a shot, and for Fantasy Premier League, you love the greedy players. That's why Salah is such a good option, because Salah is really greedy. He'll shoot and shoot and shoot, and that creates a higher volume of chances. So we'll compare the 168 shots to other strong Fantasy Premier League assets. So Salah, 126 last season, 52 on target. Kane, 137, 54 on target. So you can see the volume that Ronaldo has in comparison to those really greedy, really, really good players that are in our league already. Now, minutes per shot on target for Ronaldo last season, 40. So Woodman's going to be busy. Let's put it that way. Every 40 minutes last season, Ronaldo was having a shot on target. Not just a shot, he was having a shot that actually went at the goal and had to be dealt with. So, sorry, Freddie, you're looking a bit knackered. And compare that to Salah, he was 59 minutes. So, again, Ronaldo is on another level. Even if you make a sort of allowance for the standard of league, Ronaldo's looking like he's going to be thereabouts the kind of top of the top level of what our league already has. And XG per 90 average for the last 4 seasons. So the last 4 seasons that he's played, okay, his XG averaged 0.85. So people who aren't familiar with XG, that's really good. Really, really good. So for context, Salah had 0.62. So you had the guy that everyone captains every week. Salah had 0.62 last season. For the past 4 seasons, he had 0.62. Again, Ronaldo was 0.85. Kane, 0.56. And Lukaku, obviously, this is including his 2 terrible seasons at Man United. He got 0.57. So again, it just proves how strong of a player Ronaldo is. This is the big one for me, and it shows how good of a player Ronaldo's been for well over a decade. In the last 15 seasons, so just going back to when he was kind of just played a full season for Man United, he's only scored less than 20 goals twice. So 15 seasons, he scored less than 20 goals twice, which is actually incredible. And that was in 06-07, he scored 17 goals. And in 08-09, he scored 18 goals. So it's not like he's had bad seasons. If Wilson was scoring 17, 18 goals, would be buzzing. But yeah, Ronaldo has, 17 is the lowest amount of goals Ronaldo scored in 15 years. So from a Fantasy Premier League perspective, you want this guy in your team. Now, whether that means you've got a wild card to get him in, I don't know, because that's purely down to the way your team looks. So for my example, my team, I needed to wild card because I had the likes of Veltman, who hadn't played yet. I had Foster as my substitute goalkeeper, who was injured. I had Wilson, who was injured. I've got Antonio and Benrahma, and I don't fancy them going forward because of the Europa League starting. And we as Newcastle fans know that the Europa League absolutely knackers your team, and West Ham have no cover. That they've only got a strong first 11, and that's it really. So if Antonio's knackered, they are ruined. So I don't fancy Benrahma and Antonio going forward. And yeah, I think, and Bruno Fernandes as well. Now, Ronaldo joining Man United really impacts Bruno Fernandes because without penalties, Bruno Fernandes is not the same player. He will not get the same. He'll play well. He'll not get the same level of returns. And if you're wanting to pay 12 million for Bruno Fernandes, you're going to be expecting a lot of points, a lot of goals. And without penalties, Bruno's not getting those points. Ronaldo is going to be literally having his life and stealing all set pieces away from Bruno. So that is another reason why it might be a good idea to wildcard, because you're going to need more than one transfer to take out Bruno, who's a midfielder, and bring in Ronaldo, who's a striker. It's great if you've banked 2 transfers, but if not, I don't think it's worth a -4. And if you're looking at your team and the likes of Rafinha, who might not be able to play because Brazil have said some rule that they might have to miss a certain amount of game time because they didn't go and play for Brazil. So if Rafinha's potentially not going to play, Edison, Man City goalkeeper, certain players are going to be potentially ineligible this week. You've got DCL, who's potentially got a knock but wait for press conferences. Lots and lots of players are flagged this week. So just keep an eye out for the press conferences. Like I say, if you are looking at your team and you think you need to make more than 2 transfers, then by all means wildcard, because there's quite a few fixture swings, like I said, for Everton and Wolves. And obviously you've now got Ronaldo in the mix, who I've just told you is clearly one of the best players in the league. So yeah, thanks for that question, Jess. I hope I answered that the best I can. Quick thing on that as well. Ronaldo normally, if the team's struggling, will run left. Okay, now what that means is that'll pull away defenders, because we've already seen he has 168 shots. Defenders try to stick close to him to try and block him. Now, if he pulls those defenders away, it could be that Greenwood really benefits from that run from Ronaldo. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ronaldo actually still gets a high volume of goals, but actually improves Greenwood's output as well. So yeah, first question done. Tick. So the next one from Ben, which is at HM Benjamin. Okay, HM Benjamin. He asks, Wilson or Jimenez game week 5 onwards? Will Wilson be fit for game week 5? Now, this is another really, really tough one. I've already mentioned Jimenez and the fact that he's got really good fixtures coming up. But Wilson has a higher XG. He's getting the better quality chances. So although Jimenez has had more shots in the box, he's had 11, whereas Wilson's had 7. The chances that Wilson's getting are of a better quality, which, I mean, for Newcastle United, it's the argument is whether that's going to keep happening. And as well, Jimenez has had these shots, and I feel like Jimenez was always a really, really good poacher. And I feel like it's only going to be a matter of time before his sharpness comes back in terms of his head. And if you've just had a concussion or a fractured skull, I think it was, you're not going to be the same sort of header of a ball. So it might take him a little bit of a time. But if it was me, with Wilson's injury looking like, obviously we all know Wilson, it could be 2 weeks, it could be like months. You just don't know with him. And obviously Bruce will want to rush him back. So for me, the safer bet would be to go with Jimenez, sadly. It's pretty much because I don't want to give you a shout out for captaining him, Ben, to be honest. But no, in all seriousness, if I could have 4 strikers this week in my wildcard, I would have played Jimenez with DCL, Ronaldo and Antonio. I'm going to keep Antonio around for 1 more week because it's Southampton. But great question. And yeah, I think Jimenez would be a safe hold for me until game week 14. Whereas Wilson, his fixtures, he plays Chelsea, Arsenal and Spurs in that time. So even then, I think Jimenez has got a better chance of scoring a goal with his fixtures compared to Callum Wilson. That's if Callum Wilson's fit. So thanks, Ben. And Neil JR at Neil John NUFC. he asks, he's played his wild card this week and he's made a few transfers, but when's the best time to triple captain or bench boost? So for those who are unfamiliar with Fantasy Premier League, you get 3 chips. You get a wild card, okay, but you get 2 of them. You get another one the second half of the season. You get a triple captain chip, and you also get a bench boost chip. So you can play them at any time, obviously apart from the second wild card, like I said. Now, normally, what I try and do, I try and keep an eye out for when the double game weeks are going to happen. So they normally happen when fixtures get postponed due to FA Cup fixtures, okay, or the League Cup. And I normally try and wait and see. I follow somebody called Ben Crellin, who's very good at creating spreadsheets and lets you know when those double game weeks are. Now, what I'll try and do is, say, for example, there was going to be a double game week in game week 29. I would hit my wild card in game week 28, my second wild card, then immediately bench boost. So that would mean I would try my best, okay, using the team value that I've built up over the season. I would try my best to bring in as many double game week players as I could and even fill my bench. So I wouldn't have a weak bench. I'd make sure every single one of my players had 2 fixtures, okay? So that would mean overall I would have 30 fixtures. And then obviously the next game week, I would hit that bench boost, okay, for game week 29 when that double game week was. Okay, so it's a really good way of making use of that bench boost, and it means you'll have a good chance of getting a lot of points. Doesn't always work that way. Last season, I looked and I thought my bench looked really good, okay, in a single game week, and I hit the bench boost and actually got 5 points, which is horrendous, the worst I've ever got. Could do it any other week and I would have gotten better. So stick to a plan is what I would say. Follow Ben Crellin and wait until he tells you when the double game weeks are and try and plan those chips around that. Normally in a season, there's 2 double game weeks because there'll be one where you'll get a postponement for the League Cup semis, okay, or the League Cup final. And obviously you normally get good teams in that. So you might want to play your triple captaincy chip in the second double game week. But it's totally dependent on who those teams are, who they're playing. It's a total who knows at this moment. But if you were going to use the chips, I would save them for the second half of the season, just so that you can make use of the potential doubles. Okay, Neil. Thank you for the question. It was a really good one again. So yeah, thank you for sticking around. Thank you for listening to my geeky Fantasy Premier League ramblings. Yeah, and I hope that you keep coming back. There's, like I say, 300 odd people in this league. If we keep you guys coming in every week and watching, keep you all entertained and engaged, it'll be a really good league. Like I say, I'm 41st at the minute. The leader's on 274 points. I think we can all catch Anthony up. And it's going to be a great, great season. If you know people who don't watch this show, tell them, get them to sort their Fantasy Premier League team out, join the league. It's not too late. And watch the show, join in. We're going to hopefully try and be able to engage with as many people as possible. So, thanks for stopping by. Cheerio.